2 years ago, a hashtag united thousands of young Kenyans against the Finance Bill 2024.
Now, what began as online conversations on X quickly evolved into a nationwide movement that would dominate public discourse, mobilize unprecedented street demonstrations, and redefine civic engagement among Kenya's youth.
But beyond the images of crowds and confrontations was a sophisticated digital ecosystem of X spaces, viral digital banners, online education campaigns, and volunteer networks that informed, rallied, and connected a generation.
Tonight, we revisit the digital architecture behind the Reject Finance Bill 2024 movement and how social media transformed ordinary citizens into one of the most influential political forces in recent Kenyan history.
Long before thousands of young Kenyans occupied the streets, they first occupied digital spaces. The hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024 became more than a slogan. It became a virtual meeting point where citizens gathered to understand, debate, and challenge a piece of legislation they believed would worsen their economic burden.
Okay, the platform is X, formerly known as Twitter, so you'd be seated there scrolling over your X and doing whatever you do online. And then there was the hashtags Reject Finance Bill, Occupy, Reject, Occupy. So that's when I developed interest in knowing what are we rejecting or what are we occupying and what are the reasons. So after that, I went deep into the hashtags and that made me even more curious. So I went through the finance bill, I read it, and it was worth rejecting because everything in it, personally, to me, it was not what we expected as a country. And after then, that's when I started following up. And yeah, I decided to join my fellow comrades out here. We decided to reject it because it was not favoring us, neither was it favoring the nation at large.
As conversations intensified, volunteers transformed social media into a civic classroom. Hundreds of digital banners explaining individual clauses of the finance bill were created and shared widely online, simplifying complex policy proposals and encouraging citizens to engage with the document for themselves.
One of the misunderstandings we have about these X spaces, they were not just to plan these demonstrations. They were not to plan this protesting, no. They were for us to know what is happening. They were for us to learn why are we demonstrating. You see, because you just can't simply wake up today and decide tomorrow I'm going to protest. No, you must have a reason behind it. And most of the Kenyans, a lot of Kenyans don't go through the finance bill. The finance bill is released, this and this and this and that, and they decide, yeah, that is it. These X spaces, they were to educate us on what this finance bill means and whatever the articles we have in it are talking about. They were not just for us to plan how to come and demonstrate or anything. But then after we knew these things, they were not helping us in any way, after we learned about the downsides of this finance bill, that is when somebody will just say, what if we decide to go to the streets?
Social media is a tool of advancing the society from a poor level to a high level. Only fools would see social media as a threat to anything.
Political analyst and governance expert Professor Karuti Kanyinga says the movement reflected the unique characteristics of a generation raised in the digital age.
Because social media is a way of life today. Social media is a way of interacting with people. It's through social media that people educate themselves. It's through social media that people advance their interests. It's through social media that people become even much more intelligent in terms of how to handle a society.
Unlike previous generations, information traveled instantly, crossing borders and connecting young people to a global conversation about governance, accountability, and economic opportunity.
They witness on a day-to-day basis the good sides and the bad sides on a regular basis. And therefore, they are people who are able to make choices about not only leadership that they would want, but also about the society they would like to live. The third factor is that when we look at where the Gen Z movements and protests have taken place, Bangladesh, Kenya, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, name it, if you look at all those countries, they are characterized by almost similar trends. One, high levels of unemployment. And the Gen Zs would understand that unemployment is a creation of governments that do not have good and effective policies to address unemployment situation. Because they have seen other countries that have got better employment opportunities based on how governments themselves craft policies.
Community organizer Mark Amiani says online content played a critical role in expanding participation beyond traditional activist circles.
3 days before the protests, we had printed some placards, and we had put them online on X, and they were shared all over. So I think they were trying to look for these people, these faces. Who are these people?
The result was a movement that quickly outgrew its original organizers.
And when we arrived at the CBD and I saw young people and they had come to this project, I was so much happy and surprised at the same time.
As more citizens engaged with information shared online, digital discussions increasingly translated into actions on the street.
But then after we knew these things, they were not helping us in any way, after we learned about the downsides of this finance bill, that is when somebody will just say, what if we decide to go to the streets and protest against it? And yeah, we support. We come out as a mob, we do it. Also, these spaces were a means of communication for us all.
But social media served purposes beyond mobilization. Online platforms became channels for sharing safety information, directing medical assistance, and coordinating support for protesters and amplifying reports from the ground in real time. As reports of arrests, disappearances, and alleged abductions emerged, digital networks were also used to trace missing persons, connect affected families with legal assistance, and document cases requiring urgent intervention.
It is a wake-up call for leaders everywhere that you are not far away from demonstrations and protests by Gen Zs if you don't get your policies right.
The June 2024 protests may have unfolded on Kenyan streets, but their foundation was built online through hashtags, digital banners, X spaces, and citizen-driven networks. Young Kenyans created a decentralized movement that informed, mobilized, and connected thousands across the country. 2 years later, the hashtag may no longer dominate timelines, but the digital networks it created continue to shape conversations about governance, accountability, and citizen participation in Kenya. Catherine Omwando, NTV.